Aloha, everybody. Welcome back to the Ramblings of a Designer. We are a weekly podcast. We talk about the latest news around the web and more. Hi, my name is Terri, and I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm a UX UI designer from the Bay Area, in which I create end-to-end flows on various digital products. I'm here with Adam, who helps runs the podcast. So Adam, take it away.
Hey everybody, my name is Adam. I'm a freelance graphic designer from the San Francisco Bay Area. I specialize in visual and UI design with a little bit of illustration. And yeah, that's me.
Welcome, welcome. Like we said on the last podcast, this is going to be something a little bit different. We don't have headliners, as Adam would call them. We don't have articles, but we are going to pick a topic. It's about networking and about connections and how these connections can lead you to bigger, better things. And we're going to share of a great example for you. So I'm going to start by a long time ago. I was working for a small shop doing print design, and I was doing business cards for all of our coworkers, for our VP or executive, whoever needed of a business card, I would do them. So I had at least between 30 and 40 business cards. I ran them through of another company that did the business cards for us. And the first time they did it, it was okay, but had one little error, and it came back, and it's like, oh, and they didn't like the color green or the color yellow or something like that. So anyway, when it was the next quarter to the business cards, I had at least, I think I had 40 of them. I don't know. I had a lot. So I called the shop, and the person I got was a really nice person. I ask the person if we can go over line by line, title, phone number, address, first name, last name. And I thought he was going to shoot me because I think I was on the phone with this person for about, I don't know, an hour and a half. It was a pretty damn long time, actually. It was kind of funny. So he was very patient, very, very nice. And I keep on saying, oh, thank you so much. Are you sure that's right? Are you sure that's the right color? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is the proof. So again, he was, he was very, very nice. And anytime we needed anything to be printed or whatever, I would be talking to this person over the phone over and over and over. And we just got to know each other, just ironically, just kind of over the phone. And that's when something up in San Francisco actually came up. I think it was of the Adobe something, because we were heading over there, and basically I asked him if he wanted to go. He's like, yeah, sure, why not? So I'll stop at that story. And should I continue the story, or should I have you kind of?
All right, then I'll pick off. I'll start with mine then. So one of my very first design jobs that I got was working at a print shop. I don't even know how I got the job. I think how I got the job was that, well, first I applied on Craigslist, and then I think I got a call like literally a couple hours later, and I was like, oh wow, okay, that's pretty awesome. And they're like, hey, do you want to come in and interview? I was like, yeah, of course. And when I met the designer there, he went to the same college as I was going to, and his thing was that he performed music in the Quad, and I would go see him, and so I knew his band, and so that's how we kind of, I think that's what got me the in. Regardless, I was the visual designer / pre-press artist, which means that I did the design work, I did the typesetting for all the designs, and I got it ready for print. And so that also meant that I would have to QA everything, and little by little, things will fall through the cracks, but we're getting it right. So for one of our clients, I had to go and talk to their employee, and we had to sit through and go line by line for each phone number. And for me, that was great because I didn't want to get in trouble. And so if I could sit and with this person and we both come to an agreement that all this work is correct, then I know that there's no way I could get in trouble. And if there's a color issue, well, that's not me. I don't do the printing. I just set up the files. We set them up on black plates, and then the printer used that specific color of ink to print out all the colors. And so yeah, so I did that, and then I was there for about 3 years until I realized that I needed to kind of get out and kind of move my career forward. And from there, I moved to a print shop, to Fry's, in their advertising department. I was there for like a few short time, and then I moved up to San Francisco, where I worked as a production artist. And I really feel like, as far as networking goes, the biggest thing that I didn't realize I was utilizing the most was LinkedIn. LinkedIn was my key to everything. That's where I really felt like I really got to know people and just message them and see what was going on. And that's where I really got my connections. And then while I was working in San Francisco, I got a message that if I wanted to go to this Adobe conference from my good friend, and I said, "Yeah, let's do it. I've never been to a conference. This is like the things to do. It's in San Francisco. I'm working in San Francisco now. Let's do it."
And basically, the funny thing about that is that person we haven't really met in person. We were always talking on the phone or like
Yep.
a LinkedIn, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and then we continue talking and stuff. And then we went to the conference there, and we got off the BART a little bit too early.
Well, no, it wasn't even just that. So the Adobe building was about like I don't know, maybe 10 blocks away. So we're on Market Street. And so even regardless, we were trying to walk from Market to almost where the AT&T ballpark was. That's kind of a long walk if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah. So anyway, in case you guys haven't guessed, Adam was the person that was on the other phone when I was at my job, being the marketing person, being a one-man show and doing all the business cards. And he was so patient with me. I'm sure he wanted probably to go through the phone and maybe hit my head against the wall because like, are you sure this is right? Are you sure this is right? And everything. So anyway, that's where so we first met, and that's when I found out some stuff about him, that he had a girlfriend at the time, and it was great, and then that's when he was going to do the next stage of life, of course. So that was really exciting to be of a part of that. And then even get this is even weirder. So we went to the conference, right? And then I met a buddy of mine that basically I used to work with like 5 years ago, even later. And he was of a senior designer as well. So, and then I haven't seen him, in a long time. So we exchanged numbers and stuff. He's doing well. He's a great UX UI designer now. So we keep them in touch as well. So again, definitely networking and just by talking to Adam and just say, hey, how you doing? Let's do something, or what do you think about this, and everything like that. And that's just how you build your own environment, and that's how you build your own soundboards to bounce ideas off. and when he was up in San Francisco at that time, I got laid off. And I was like, okay, so I was doing print and everything like that. And basically from there, I was trying to find something and I was just interviewing. But at that time, that's when the apps, they were so important, and websites and responsive. And that was like the cool hip thing, I guess you would say. And I didn't have quite experience, in that. So then after that, I had a really great friends. They were engineers, and they helped me to get in of a certain spot. And then I was doing production work, and that's where I started. So it was a great learning experience. It was a great foundation. And Adam, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so we went to the conference, and I totally screwed us up as far as going to with my confidence and how close I thought everything was, because I had been working there, around San Francisco for a while, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of know where everything is. Like it's not that far. I have to walk here and there since I work here now, and it's not that far. And then we ended up walking like, I don't know, almost an hour, all sweaty and everything.
And some real shady areas too. Yeah. It was so funny.
And then there were parts where there was no crossing. Like we would hit like dead ends almost, where there was no way to cross in that street. And so I was like, oh yeah, we just have to go this way. I'm glad on the way back, I was like, hey, should we just take a cab back? And you're like, yeah, maybe we should. And that was like the high point of it. Anyway, so I made my way to San Francisco. Me and my wife, we get married and all, and we were expecting a kid. And so I was working at one of these tech companies, these tech startups, and I was just doing regular production work when Terri hit me up, and she was like, hey, how are things? I got laid off from my job. What, how's your place going? And so, I try to see what I can do. Unfortunately, I didn't know at the time that they were slowly getting rid of people, and and little by little, by the time I actually near the time, I guess you had already found some place and were already looking for stuff, I was getting laid off. And so I just happened to reach out to all my kind of contacts on LinkedIn, just see what's going on. And I remember I talked to Terri so often, so I just hit her up and say, hey, Terri, what are you doing? How are things with you? And, nonchalantly, I let her know that I was getting laid off, and that also I was expecting my first child. And she was like, what? So go ahead.
I read that message and I was freaking out, because as a mom, I do have a child as well. I have two now, but, one was, that age and stuff. I'm all going, oh my God, I read the message. I called my mother. And I told her, oh my God, my really good friend Adam, he's getting laid off, and he's expecting a kid. He needs a job. So that's when I said, hey, how would you like to maybe try over here and see how that would go? So that's what we did.
And right away, I was really reluctant, because I had been doing production design up until that point, and I was gonna have the opportunity to do real design work at an agency level, which was a pretty step up from the print shop. But I was really hesitant. I was like, I think I'd find a better world in production. I could find an easier job that way. And you're saying that if not, how about just starting as like a 3-month contract? You're going to be laid off anyways. You could use that 3 months to start like an internship or something small here, and then maybe they could hire you full time. And if it wasn't for you pushing me so much, I wouldn't have done it. I was so reluctant. I was really I didn't want to do it at all. And I was pretty much going to be like, nah, this isn't for me. I'm not ready. I'm not, I, I don't want to do this. But yeah, like luckily you were there to push me to get me in there.
Oh yeah, I push. I'm surprised you haven't like really like hit me with like a rubber chicken or with a rubber duck, because like when I see Adam's like, man, he can do this and he can do that. It's like, no, go try it. And he's like, well, and sometimes I'm really blunt with him. And so sometimes I would tell him like, okay, why are you giving yourself of another excuse? You have no excuse. So what is the worst going to happen? Well, and then he comes up with, oh, I'll see another excuse. Well,
Yeah.
what? And what's your point? And then after a while, he'll just think about it. Like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. Oh, okay, yay, good, go. So, and then we continue, to work. And I think we both learned a lot working at an agency. So if you folks are starting out, definitely production is a nice way to work on a lot of projects, and working in an agency environment, you'll learn fast. You'll learn fast. It's not glamorous per se, but you will definitely learn a lot, and you'll learn fast. So it's definitely a really good stepping stone to understand, to work with different people, like the content, work with the dev team, work with the account managers and everybody like that. So I think it's really good. Just to start off and stuff. So you take it away, Adam.
Well, one of the things I really liked about that experience is I got to definitely meet more people in my field. I got to meet a whole host of new designers and developers, and I really felt like the agency allowed me to gain a whole new network that I've never had before, and so I definitely love that. And yeah, I mean, we've both since left there, but I still am really close to a lot of the people that are still there, and a lot of people, even though they've left there, I'm still close to them, and so I do plan on continuing networking with them with everybody as much as possible. So
yes, as Adam said, I went on as well. I got another contract, and continue to grow. And that's when I took my UX course with Career Foundry. It was 2 years ago. God, I can't believe 2 years already. And that just kicked my acole, my BUTT. I'll just say that. And I learned so much. And then from there, I got a contract 1 year working at PayPal, and that really opened my eyes. And that was just like, if you were a child and you didn't know how to swim, and they put you in the water, they dropped you, and you say swim, that's what I did. You swam as fast as you can, and you survived, and you learn, and you ask questions. So I mean, 2017, I can't remember, but that was like one of the, or was it 2016, 17 maybe. It was awesome. I learned a lot. And even till this day, I'm still learning, asking questions, and just keep going. And actually, regarding this podcast, and this is how the podcast actually started going, was a couple months ago, and that's when Adam, I think he got really inspired of trying to do something different, and that's when he asked me, "Hey, do you want to co-host?" Like, I don't know, let me think about it. And I was like, well, and for me, I wasn't too sure. And the friend said, "Oh, come on." It's like, oh, okay. And then we started to do a couple podcasts, and we have a couple practice ones that's not on the air yet, but it's pretty funny because we listen to ourselves like, that's what we really sound.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. But anyways, yeah, so that's how the podcast started. So actually, I've known Adam for over 8 years, and we met on a phone call.
Yeah.
So you never know who you're talking to, who you might bump into uh, at a job or at a supermarket or a friend of a friend or even a nurse in a hospital or even at a funeral. You just don't. No, I'm serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
Sure.
know it's kind of sad, but I mean, you don't know who you're going to meet.
Hmm.
So that's why you always have to be, I don't say prepared, but just have people around you that are positive and that will give you support, because the more positive you are and the more confidence that you feel, other people are, they want to be around you. They want to have that that positive, like, hey, life is good, because you know what, god damn it, life is good. Well, I think it is. So it's our choice of how we're going to view or how we think, or if we're going to be a pissy mood, then we're going to be in a pissy mood. But if you want to be in a good mood and learn something, well, then you can. Okay, I will get off of my soapbox now, stepping
Hmm.
off and passing on to Adam.
Oh, I was just gonna add that. So since I had left, I decided to go freelance slash contract, and it was more just as an experiment to see if I can do it, to see what I can learn from it, and it so far it's been a really an amazing experience. I've learned just so much about business and connections, and I don't know, just it's been really eye opening going through all this, and I've had to start a freelance company, which I'm not I haven't opened a freelance company, a design company, but I've gone through the process of at least filing paperwork and getting the stuff started, just in case, like for now, because I want to practice. I want to have something that I can practice on, and maybe do make my little mistakes on. So when I do, I'm able to grow something, if that's possible in the future. I have it already. I want to start something at low stakes where if I mess up poorly, does I ruin the company? So I was able to do that because I started this. I was able to get my first real paying client, and that was through a connection from just somebody that I had worked with. They had referred me. Just I don't know. I rarely hung out with her, but I was nice with her, and she was a project manager at our last job. And because of her, she got me my first paying freelance gig. And I was like, wow, that's it's amazing just what being nice to people will get you. Yeah, I mean, and since then, I've been able to have consistent returning contracts come back over and over again. They like my work where enough where they've hit me back, and they've asked if I wanted to do more work for them. And then um, so a lot of these, and there's one time where because I was working with them so much, they asked if they wanted to have me on full time. I wasn't available at that time, and so it didn't work out. But I was like, wow, it's amazing how things work out. I forgot what else I was going to point out. I think that was it. So hand it back to you.
Yeah. Excuse me. No, just advancing what Adam was saying. Yeah, those connections are really important. But Adam did say, "Oh, it pays nice to be. It pays nice. Wait. How did you say that again?
It
It's
pays to be nice to people.
Thank you. Exactly. Sorry, tongue twist there. But, again, when you're doing nice, just don't be nice and thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to get something out of it. No, be nice,
Yeah, yeah,
be
yeah.
be authentic about it too. I'm sure people are not going to just be like, oh, I'm just going to be nice because I'm going to get this. No, no, it has nothing to do with that. It just has just you doing the right thing of just helping people, just in
Mhm.
in general.
Mm-hmm. You know what?
And with it,
Also, sorry. Also, I guess you also have to realize that your community is smaller than you think. So when I was working back at that print shop, I would run into uh, we would get a lot of local businesses. And so when I would be around town, I would run into some of these people in the streets, or sometimes I'd have to use their services. And so you're networking without realizing that you're doing it. And also, since I've been working in the city, uh, because I guess a lot of these jobs happen to be around the same area, I would constantly run into other people that used to work with me or that work in other places. I ran into like my old CEO that had left another startup, and I was like, oh hey, and so it's weird because you view them as such a different level because now he's just like a regular guy, he's not your boss. And I was like, wow, it's crazy. And so I'm constantly running into people that, and then it's always funny when you run into people that you didn't really, that, wasn't a team player. And then you just kind of have like this awkward kind of interaction because you're trying to be nice and but they also realize that, it's just it's a weird setting overall.
yeah, but going off to Adan's connection, when I went to the UX conference up in Seattle on my last day, I was sitting at this table and this young lady came over. Oh, is it okay if I sit next to you? Yeah, of course. And we just started chatting. Well, of course, turns out, she's a mom. She has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. So we hit it off really, really good. And, we just started talking, and she was working at over at Intuit, but in Canada. And basically, it turned out when I left the agency to go to the contract, I actually had of two contracts and stuff, and one of them I took the other one, and the last one was like, nah, that's okay. I changed it up. But actually, it turns out the person actually knew the person that basically the other contract was. So that was like a small little triangle there. Number one, and number 2, she was looking for help of another junior UX UI designer. I'm going, really? So I know actually somebody up in Canada. He's really good. Yes, really nice, very humble, just such an overall great guy. Just super nice. And his visual design skills are mad skills. I mean, he's really talented. And he's so humble, like, no, Terri, no, that's not good. I'm like, you freaking kidding me, dude? No, that's good. That's he's pretty much nailed pretty much every design, but maybe alternate a little bit, just a little tweaks, but overall. But anyway, I'll cut this short. So anyway, I introduced him to her, and now they're talking. And then he did go just for the first interview over there, and then it will just continue of the story. I don't know the rest of the story, but it's in the works, I could say. So I mean, you just never know who you're gonna meet, who you're gonna sit down to, and oh, I know somebody who knows somebody. And and when people say that to me, maybe like 10 years ago or like 8 years ago, well, yeah, right, I didn't believe them. Oh boy, I believe them now. So when somebody tells you network and do this, don't even think, don't even blink, just say okay, and you do it. If you feel like you're scared, doesn't matter, force yourself to do it. If you think you can't, that's when you have to tell yourself that you can, because you're going to run into people. I don't care what occupation that you have. You're going to run into people that's going to be naysayers. You're going to run into people that, oh, you're not good enough. And you're going to run into people that may not like you. Who cares if they don't like you? Whatever, and you're going to run into people that basically, I just like to call them the cranky people. The people that maybe they've been stuck in high school, they got dumped at the prom, or they just had a bad date, or they just had a bad day, and I just call them just crankies, and that's okay. And you just because they're acting cranky, that doesn't mean you need to be acting cranky. So again, you're going to be running in those type of people every day in your jobs, or even your family or your friends or whoever they are. You just have to just pick up your boots, pick up your socks, and just step over them, go through them, go around them, go underneath them, stomp on them, do what you need to do just to get to the other side.
I just want to say that. So for me, what really helped me kind of be able to branch out. So first off, I ever since I got work by the help from you, I've always tried to find a way to pay it forward, and so I've tried multiple times to get different people jobs, or at least interviews. But for me, since I started out in a really small design print shop, it was only like a 4-person shop, and I was the only designer. I didn't really have a network of designers. So the only ones that I did know, I couldn't help. I knew like 3 of them, and so none of them needed help. But so that's point one. The other point was that if you're worried about I'd have to just say being proactive is the best thing you can do. So, and what I mean by that is, it's hard to talk to people and make connections because, like what Terry was saying, you're worried about it. Well, the first thing you can do is to be the person that reaches out. And if you're worried about that initially, start out with your local, with your connections that you have already. With your friends on Facebook, with your friends your contacts that you have on LinkedIn. If you realize nobody's talking to anybody, and it's because nobody reaches out. And so be that person that reaches out. I know I made it a point where I stopped doing it because I've been super busy lately, but I was getting to the point where every day I had a list of 2 to 3 people I would contact. And then I would contact them again, like every other month or every 3 months. And just to say hi, how are things going? Well, what's new? And I would rotate between work friends or work contacts and family. And so just hit up your cousin and just say, hey, we haven't talked in a while. How are things? What's new with you? And you'd be surprised just how happy people are to hear from you, how just open they are, what kind of conversations you guys get. I mean, it'll die out, sure, it'll fizzle out, but every now and again, you just go and say, you make that connection and just reach out. Be the one that reaches out, and you'll be the only one. From my experience, nobody really ever reaches back out to me. But it gets you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm using it as practice to get out, but it does help me that I get to hear about how my family's doing, and that's great too. But also, I'm just using it as practice just to help me find out good open liners to use.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely take a note from Adam. Definitely be proactive. I mean, that's why I did have a Facebook account, and then I don't have it. I purposely don't have it because just for me, it's like, oh yeah, I can be lazy or just not really talking to people. But now I have to force myself to what? I need to talk to people. I need to call them. So I call them, and then if they don't pick up, they don't pick up. And that's okay. I leave a message. If they call me back, great. If they don't, not a big deal, because people are busy. People have lives. They work, family, friends, or maybe they're taking care of their parents, or, something happens. But, at least you call and you leave a message. And when they're ready to call back, they will call you back. And that's what I say. Just, hey, just me call back when you're ready. No big deal. I'll try again later. They pick up, they pick up. They don't, they don't. It's not rocket scientists to pick up the phone and call and just leave a message. Granted time, but that's why you have to pick a time would be the best when you're traveling in your car or when you're on the BART, before or something, or taking the train or whatnot. Or when you're doing your walk, when you're working out, or when you're after. You have 10 minutes, just call somebody.
Like, I know you call me every once in a while, and I pick up maybe like 30 to 40% of the time, but you always leave a message, and then we find other ways to communicate. And so that's not bad, but yeah, but I do like that you make the attempt. It's just I just can't right now. I'm in a meeting, or
yeah, it's either your
traveling.
meeting or your kid, or it's just the wrong timing or what's not. But that's okay. But also too, it's kind of funny because if you're kind of having a tough day, or it's like or just maybe motivated, or maybe things not going right, but your friend calls you and just leaves like a funny message, whatnot. You're like, oh yeah, that's great, and you start laughing and you start to smile, and then everything else just goes away, which is great. So, it's good to have a couple of friends that calls you and just leave like random messages.
What I noticed too is that growing up, everybody always was really into like the really, the really outspoken kid, and the one that like was always like, hey, let's go do this, and you're like, all right, yeah, let's go do this, and let's go, drinking, let's go here or there. You go, yeah, all right, and you always gravitate to that person. And then later in life, I realized, oh, you know what? I could be that person too. Just invite people to things and see what happens. And if they say no, well, that's okay. I'll just invite them again later. But just be that person that you always admired growing up.
Yeah, and think big. As Adam was saying, like other designers or your family. But if you're in the industry and you find like a great art director or something that has really inspired you, like, you know what, that really helped me, let that person know. If they're on Twitter, or if you can find their website, or LinkedIn or whatnot, just let them know. Say, hey, I found your article and it really helped me, because it was great.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, go ahead.
no, go tag, you're it.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, people don't compliment each other's enough. I mean, sure, you get that like on your Facebook post or your LinkedIn post, but yeah, I mean, take the time to just send them a message and be like, hey, that's congrats on your, on your promotion. How's that going? How long have you been there? Oh, how you feel like it's going? Like, send out those compliments, and you'll see that you have more fuel to connect with people that way.
Yeah. When I was at the agency, somebody asked of another friend of ours, asking him, is Terri always that happy? And the person said, yeah, she's normally just generally just that happy. Yeah. So I find that was kind of funny when they told me about that. But yeah, but definitely, as Adam would know, Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. I go ballistic
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to Christmas, because that's to be thankful and grateful what you have, and you have Thanksgiving, you have Halloween. So use the holidays around the year, around the world, culture. Celebrate that, and that's how people can definitely bond together, with their cultures, with their background, what they've learned, how they learned, and why they got into design, or why did they get into doing UX UI or even coding.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been working with a couple students out in New York a little bit. So I'm starting that, and a couple students with Career Foundry, and there's a theme going. They always say the same thing. Like, oh, well, I don't have enough experience, number
Mm-hmm.
one, as they say. Or they say, oh, I don't think I can do it. Or they say, well, I'm starting completely new. I'm a mom. Or my age, I'm 32. And in my book, that absolutely means bullcaca.
32. It's not that old.
Exactly. I don't care if you're 55
Yeah.
and if you want to get into UX UI. There's no age limit. There's no there's there's nothing. I think
Mhm.
it's just having the people around you of to encourage you and to help you on what things you have right and what things that just needs to be tightened up on some things. It could be your interviewing skills. It can be your portfolio, or it can be such a simple thing that, granted, it's not going to happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight, but just take small chunks of it. And each time, you'll just get better, 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 better at it. Just like when I started interviewing, I think I talked to over like 150 people, just either on the phone or, or just like interviewing me. I mean, I would talk to anybody who wanted to talk to me. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them, they would give me a question and I would just bomb. So I would write that question down like, oh, what does this mean? Then I looked that up like, oh, okay. Mental note to self. And then each time you just got better. And then pretty soon you just get your elevator pitch and and it's there. So I just think, yeah, there's stuff out there, or maybe they might have 5 year more experience than you do. Who cares? But you know what? You can bring fresh new ideas as well. You have a brain and you can do the work. So again, it's all in our head, and we just have to tell ourselves not to tell us no even before we even stepped out of the door, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, also realize too that if you're worried about what level you are in your career, let's say you don't really have that much experience and you're like, well, I don't think I'm ready or I'm just not there. Also realize there are a bunch of companies that are at there are a bunch of companies that are at different levels of their development too. Some of them are small companies that can afford a real high-end designer as well. And maybe that's the right fit for you as well. There's a bunch of different people are going to need different design for different reasons. And you know, even if it's just like a contract for a little bit here and there, uh, you can easily find the work, and then you just have to build on that, and then from there you'll get to where you need to go. But it's a
Yeah,
climb. It's going to take work. Just realize that you're going to have to put in a lot of work. It takes time.
yeah, true. So never say never, and just have faith, and just I mean, like, if any of this, if anybody's listening or taking of the take of it, that doesn't make any damn sense. But anyways, but just remember, of yourself, you are you. Be you. And if you have something in mind of your goal, it's okay to ask for help. You know how many all these CEOs, these VPs at these big top companies, do you think they just woke up one morning and got a job as a VP?
Mhm.
No. I'm sure they probably bus tables. I'm sure they worked at a restaurant. I'm sure they were maybe of a wedding singer. Maybe they were a rec leader. Maybe they were babysitters. Maybe they were an ex car mechanic. But I know we don't hear those kind of stories about how they got up to where they got out. We only hear how they got to the top. We don't hear of the behind the scenes. Nobody never talks about that, right?
Mhm. Yeah, there's a ton of like you hear about. I'm going to use celebrities, but you always hear celebrities where like, yeah, they used to be waiters. They used to do like, they used to work in factories as like they used to be the person that would put your food on the scale at what do you call those? Food. What do you call those things where you go buy fruit at the parking lots of places?
I'm thinking
uh,
of butcher.
no,
Like the meat, they would cut the meat and they would weigh it.
we just buy vegetables, whatever. I can't think of the word. I shouldn't say it. Well, that's at the supermarket. The person that was your cashier at the supermarket.
Yeah, or your bagger, whatnot. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of, everybody is unique. Everybody has a story, and we can all learn from each other. So that's just number one.
Farmers market. That's what it was.
What is it?
Farmers market. Where
farmers market.
You get a bunch of local growers, and then you could buy it from them directly at high prices.
High prices. High prices. Yeah.
I'm really glad that we did this because I was doing that thing where I was contacting people like pretty much every day. I was contacting somebody just to see how they were doing, and I had dropped off on that because I've been pretty busy. But yeah, I mean, that's something that's something I really got to do back, and so I'm gonna start tomorrow, just to really contact. I'm gonna contact my designer friends. Most important. I actually, you know what? I'm having dinner with some old coworkers tomorrow too. They just sent out an email. They're like, because we had dinner once about a month ago, and then they just sent out another email. They're like, hey, when are we gonna have dinner again? I'm like, oh, I'm free this Thursday. All right, let's do it. I'm like, okay. And then now we're having dinner. And so yeah, I mean, it's just keeping in close contact with all these people. A great way to network is when somebody decides to leave a company, and they have their goodbye drinks later that night. I've gone to many of those and have ran into old coworkers and just to see where they're at and what they're doing, and so that's been a great way to network as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's meetups, there's all kinds of stuff. So you just never know who's going to be on the end of the phone call, and you may do something else too 8 years from now, which you didn't know that you were going to do. Because I know I didn't have a thought that I would be doing like a podcast or anything like that, to be perfectly honest with you.
When I wanted to do the podcast because I realized that I've always have wanted to talk about the news and what's going on, right? And for me, it's a great way to keep me up to date as well, because now I'm forced to make sure I got something to talk about, and so I got to read a whole bunch. And I found out that I was doing it by myself originally, because I wanted just to have a podcast, so I'll just ramble by myself. And it's kind of hard talking to yourself. To be honest, I'm just talking. I was very low energy. I don't have any opposing views, and here talking, be able to ping pong stuff off of you. I'm able to be more lively and talk more, as opposed just to being a monotonous robot. And when you're talking to somebody, now I'm having a conversation with you, and so it's a whole lot different than me trying to read a script or just trying to talk about what's off the top of my head. And so I knew another person was a key, and I knew you were the key. So that's why I think.
Great. I'm the key. I like that. The key of something to something. No, but yeah, I mean, definitely the podcast has been so much fun, and just trying to be a better speaker, better communicator, and just enjoy what I'm doing, and hopefully bring value up to somebody else. That if I can, this might sound kind of hippie, and I apologize, but I want to make it my mission to have people really think about their own goals and their own mental mind about fear. And and to get over it, because I went through that and it sucks. It really sucks. But once you get over that hump, oh my gosh, it's like the birds are singing, the lights are out, the sky is blue every single freaking day in my world, because I choose not to be scared. That's not going to run me. That's not going to ruin me. So what if that happens? And you move on. Crap happens all the time. It's part of the world. It's just going to happen. You just got to get back up. Okay, yeah, whatever. Just don't let it phase you, and you just keep moving. You just keep pushing that boulder. Move it more, and pretty soon, when you stop pushing, he's like, things will just start happening naturally. But sometimes it is hard to push that boulder a lot. But again, going back to the mission of to have people stop thinking in their head that they can't do something, in reality that they can. They just have to choose to do it. If that makes any sense.
So if you're wondering why we call this show The Ramblings of a Designer, this is pretty much us completely unhinged, just sounding off on tangents every which way but loose. We've gone. This is us completely off the rails.
Yeah, it is actually.
So if you're not a fan of this, we won't do this that often.
No, we won't.
And so if this isn't your episode, we'll be back to your regularly scheduled news thing next week. But yeah, I think something like this is pretty cool. If we could get enough people, I wouldn't mind doing like a live session where people just ask us questions and we just go full ramble. Insane.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
that'd be kind of neat.
we could do it that way. And then that way it'll just be like a different thing than the regular show. Or every once in a while we'll have a special episode where we just go nuts like this.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I think I'm done. Adam, you?
Yeah, I'm spent.
Yeah, I think we rambled. I think this might be the longest one we've done. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
We're clocked in at 5 hours right now. I don't know.
Wow,
how long.
5 hours. Where did that come from? Dang.
No, I don't know.
Dang. Well, anyways, I know everybody probably needs sleep. Go home, eat dinner. I don't know. Do your homework. Clean the house.
Get back to work.
Back to work. That too. Do your design stuff, read your books, read your articles, be nice to your computer. Anyway, I'm out. Aloha, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, where are they going to find us?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter, Flaxink, FLAXINK. And what about you, Adam?
You can find me also on Twitter at ADANZEPEDA. And you can find this podcast on Wednesdays.
Nice. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Aloha.